All right, let's pretend that didn't happen.
Oh, we will.
Fellas, we're going to give that a good try back. 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
All right, he went to commercial. Good.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And welcome back to 302 Sports Weekly. Benny Pinella alongside my partner, Pat Garianis. Pat, we've got a lot to talk about in the world of girls and boys high school basketball. And of course, the Spotlight Games of the Week.
That's it, Spotlight Game of the Week. We now have not one, but two this week. Boys and a girls matchup. We'll dig deeper into that as the show goes on. And of course, we'll recap last week's exciting game between St. Elizabeth and Salesianum.
We'll tell you what's going down with our double dip and our Spotlight Game of the Week. But first, we got to tell you about Hooters and how awesome Gary and Nick are for allowing us to have the show every week, Wednesday nights at 7 at 136 the Astros Shopping Center. Come on out and support the show, support Hooters, and of course, try some of their delicious wings.
It's Wingin' Wednesday. Every time we're down here, Wingin' Wednesday, 10 boneless wings and some fries, $6.99. You can't beat that. So come on down, watch the show, get some food, enjoy the atmosphere, and taking the show, like you said, man. Again, we say this every week. We're going to continue to say it. If you have any highlights, scores, stats, or any other information you would like to see on the show, just contact us. 302sports@gmail.com. Our top 5 this week is going to feature a fan's subscription or fan video that they gave out. So you'll see that. That's what we like to see. You guys getting involved with us. Follow us on social media at 302sports. That is at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We have that weekly poll question every week on Twitter. And then Snapchat now, sports_302. Keeping up with the Joneses on that. And to come down, like Benny said, the show here at Hooters on the 136 Astros Shopping Center.
We cannot do the show without you, so of course come out and support everything that is 302. All right, let's talk girls basketball as we flash the top 10 on your screen. Not a lot of shakeups, really very much staying pat from this week.
Yeah.
You have Conrad at number 1, Seaford, Caravel, St. Elizabeth's at number 4, Ursuline, Howard, Tatnall, Padua, Hodgson, and Sussex Tech rounding out the top 10. No dropouts from this past week. Do have some finals, though, to tell you about. Ursuline beat Padua, number 5 over number 8, convincingly 68-43. Maggie Conley, heck of a game for her, 24 points. Caravel then was able to beat Archmere, number 3 team, winning by 20 points. They got 16 of those from Sasha Marley. That was a 3-point victory for them. Natalie DePaulo, a friend, scored her 1,000th point. So congratulations to her. And we at 302 Sports want to congratulate her as well for the great accomplishment. Number 9, Hodgson. They were able to beat Concord handedly, 60-24. Kayla Braxton Young scored 28 points. And again, another 1,000th point. We have to congratulate her. So everyone from 302 does that. A round of applause for them. All right, time to look at some key matchups in the girls basketball this week. Number 5, Ursuline will be at Conrad. Number 1 team, that'll be our 302 Sports Spotlight Game of the week. That's a Friday nighter at 7. Concord versus Caravel, and we also have St. Mark's versus Padua. Mike.
Yes.
A lot going through that one, but we do have to talk about some of these matchups from this past week. Which one of these games is the most impressive win in your mind?
Just going to slow that down a little bit. Of those wins, of those 4, I think of the 3 that we've listed, maybe Ursuline scoring 63 points. To me, that jumps out a little bit. They got a couple of players back. We're going to talk about that in a second. Maggie Connolly. You know, we talked about Maggie a lot on the show. She's never had to be the top scorer in that team, and this year they're asking her to do a lot. And she has added scoring. She has scored, but she's always had Alicia Lewis or other players to score, but she's really been asked to lead that team in a lot of different ways. So for me, Ursuline scoring 63 points, it's a good sign for the Raiders, and I think they're, I hope, back on track.
Yeah, hey, Ursuline is probably the most dangerous 7-7 team you'll come across. Am I right in saying that? And you just said they got 2 players back from injury. Is this making them dangerous again?
I think they are. They're going to be really dangerous. Their schedule was tough early. And you got to remember, Maggie Conley had a point guard last year, Alicia Lewis.
Yeah.
Who was the best player in the state. Now all of a sudden she has to run the point, something that she's never done before. So you got to learn a new position. She's starting to get into her game that way. And then you bring back Olivia Mason.
Yeah.
Who's going to give them some presence underneath. They're going to kill them with glass every game. And just to have her back I know she's not 100% yet. It's going to take a couple of games to get back in game shape, but she scored 10 against Padua, and that was really big.
Speaking of Padua, they're one of a handful of teams that actually have more wins this year than they did last year. You got Padua, St. Mark's, Dickinson, and Polytech. A lot of teams turning it around, Mike. Can you kind of explain?
I think high school basketball, except for high school sports in general, except for a few programs, is kind of cyclical. So you have teams that aren't so good one year will turn it around. The players graduate, new players come in. The common thread with Padua and St. Mark's is new coaches, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Another team that I looked at that's not on our list here is Tatman. I'm trying to figure out exactly. I've seen them several times. They have two really good players, Shelby Bailey Smiley and Kennedy Brown. They have a couple other complementary pieces. Only 8 girls usually suit up for Tatman, and they keep winning. You know, they've lost. They lost to Sanford, and I forget the other game they lost, but they don't have a lot of players in that roster, but they keep winning, and it's just a good team. And so that was the one that I was looking through some of those teams today. That's the one that jumped out. We've talked about Padua and St. Mark's before, so I was looking for somebody else, and Tatman was the one that jumped out at me. So, but new coaches, new players, it's kind of sick.
We put these rankings out on social media now, and for the last couple of weeks, through the girls' basketball rankings, a team we've heard about from people on Twitter and whatnot is Woodbridge. They're 13-2 on the season. They're not in the top 10. Jay, what do they got to do to get in the top 10? Is this strictly just because of the strength of schedule thing?
Absolutely. Their strength of schedule is not good right now. I mean, they're beating the teams that are on it, so that's good. But they lost to St. Mark's, who's not in the top 10, who's having a good year, along with another loss against another non-top 10 team. So they haven't played anybody in the top 10. They play in the Henlopen South, so it's going to be interesting. I don't want to count them out because they are 13-2,
right? And
I think they can make the top 10. The problem is right now their strength of schedule is holding them back to jumping into the rankings.
Speaking of the top 10, not a lot of shakeups this week, Mike, and we talked about some of the wins that the top 10 had. Can you kind of go in depth on that?
Well, the teams that are ranked 1, that's kind of what happened. You win, you're going to stay where you are. And it wasn't a really, really busy schedule last week. I thought for the last week of January, I thought it was kind of a light schedule. There's just some teams that have, we're looking at 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of the season left. There's still teams that have 9 games to play or 8 games. So some of these teams are going to be playing 3 games in a week or maybe even 4 games in a week to get this season done. But it just wasn't a very busy schedule last week. And the teams that did play won. So schedule, the rankings stay the way they stayed.
A lot of good games on the docket this week. Of course, our spotlight game of the week, girls spotlight game of the week, Ursuline and Conrad Friday night. Jay, other than maybe that game, is there any games you're looking forward to this week that could potentially shake some things up and maybe prove some teams worthy of being a contender?
Yeah, I'm looking at Concord and Archmere tomorrow. Both teams have been struggling coming like the last couple of weeks, but both started the season real good. In fact, Concord was 8-2 at one point. They're now 8-7, so they've lost 5 straight. So, and they're in their meat of their schedule. After Archmere, they got 4 more ranked teams on the schedule. So to me, that game's important for Concord. They need to get a win and try and get some confidence back. Archmere lost to Conrad and Caravel last week. Number 1 and number 3 team in the state, but they need to get a win too, just to get some confidence back in them. They're a team right around 500 too. I know I did my seedings, and right now both Concord and Archmere are in, and both are on the road. So they're going to have to start winning some games if they want to host a game in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, of course, Ursuline at Conrad. That is our spotlight game of the week. Is on Friday at 7 o'clock. You catch that one on YouTube. We'll talk a little more about that one coming up a little later. But up next, the boys have their time on 302 Sports Weekly.
No matter where you are in life, at every stage, we are here for you. For all of life's big moments and everything in between. After all, that's what families are for. We promise to make a positive difference in your financial life and go beyond the norm. Be a part of the Dover Federal family.
Local people, local decisions, Dover Federal Credit Union.
The Hadley Group is your local real estate resource. Brian Hadley joined Patterson Schwartz & Associates in 2005. In 2013, Nicole Flora joined Brian, followed by Emma Burnett and Grant Jepp in 2014. That's when the Hadley Group was formed. Patterson Schwartz Associates offer you exceptional knowledge of local market conditions and a commitment to represent you honestly and professionally. So for your next purchase or sale, think the Hadley Group. Visit our website at thehadleygroupre.com.
And welcome back to 302 Sports Weekly. Ladies had their time. It's time to talk about boys basketball in the state of Delaware. Benny Pinella alongside Pat Garianis, and of course, we're looking at the top 10 in the world of Delaware boys high school basketball. Going through it really quick, we have Cape Henlopen at number 1, Smyrna at number 2, Sanford jumping up, Sussex Tech jumping up from 4 and 6 respectively to 3 and 4. William Penn taking a little bit of a dip, Salesianum jumping up. We also have Caravel falling, St. George's Tech falling, and 2 unranked teams, Newark Charter and Red Lion, dropping out of St. Elizabeth's and Cesar Rodney. Of course, the scores from last week, that kind of affected some of the things that went down this week. Salesianum, which was number 10, they were able to beat St. E's 60-46. Jack and Paul Brown each had 17 points. Sussex Tech was able to defeat William Penn by a score of 74-62, which is one of the reasons why William Penn fell. Of course, St. Mark's was able to overcome Caravel by 3 points, 49-46. Nick Lesky had 14 points in that one for the Spartans. Looking at some of the matchups we have coming up, we have Caravel, St. Elizabeth, Cesar Rodney versus Cape Henlopen. Our 302 Sports Spotlight Game of the Week, the second one of that, which is on Friday night at 7:30. It's Smyrna versus Salesianum. And we have Woodbridge. They will be at William Penn. We're going to take a quick look at the highlights from the previous game really quick, Pat, if you're ready. Salesianum versus St. E's. How do we get to that 60-46 finish, Pat?
We're about to find out right now. We'll sync this video up and we'll get this thing rolling. Both teams coming in, ranked in the top 10, having decent seasons, and here we go. We're getting it started. Open and tip, Paul Brown winning it for the Sows. And early in this game was a bit of a feeling out process for both teams. Not really much going on, as you can see here in this opening possession. Darnell Vaughn Jr. getting a couple shots, turnover calls by the Viking defense, and not a lot of points scored early in this one. As you can see, still 0-0. Paul Brown kicks it out. It's Vaughn over to Cohill. One more lane drive by Jack Brown. Reverse layup. Good. There's the opening score. About 3 minutes into this one. Later in the quarter, it's Paul Brown knocking down the 3. Big time shot for the big fella. Getting the job done both outside and inside, forcing the Vikings timeout. As you can see, 7-0 to score. Chop Brown gets the Vikings on the board later with the 3 in the corner. It's 7-3. 11-3 later here on, and it's Jack Brown. He had himself a big game. We talked about it, 17 points. There's one of his threes. Make it 14-3. St. E's calls another early timeout, and they're in trouble. See, the big thing here is, as you see Justin Money hitting the layup, Salesianum came out in the 2-3 zone, and it kind of threw St. E's through a loop. They weren't sure how to really attack it, and they struggled to score. It's now 16-7. Chop Brown hits a 2, a long 2, but all night the Vikings could not get this zone figured out, and that's why you saw Salesianum pull away towards the end. Here you go. Here's a nice little two-handed slam by Paul Brown, putting it in, making it 18-9. Sal's doubling up the Vikings. Later on, it's the freshman, Jaden Dickinson, knocking in the 3, cutting it down to a 12-point game. He had a good game, the freshman, gave him some valuable minutes, didn't do a lot of scoring, but still played well enough to get himself involved in the game. Salesianum comes right back down the floor, nothing doing, and look who's leaking, Nate Thomas. He's a little bit of Mr. Everything for the Vikings, and he goes down, cuts this game in within 4 for the Vikings after trailing early in this one. Here's Mike Wallace from the corner. He was on the show last week. That's what he does well. Hitting the 3 ball, pushing it out to 6, where we met our halftime score of 24-18. Moving on to the second half. You see the good ball movement by the South. Jack Brown and 1. 3-point shot. The freshman makes a mistake on the closeout. 4-point play for Brown and the South. It's now a 7-point lead. You can see here Jack Brown getting the rebound, stolen away by Justin Money. And look at this play. Bam! Baseline jam with defenders around. trying to get the Vikings going on this one. Later in the quarter, look at that acrobatic layup by Nate Thomas. He had himself a game too. And that play right there brought the Vikings within one, but Jack Brown would answer, hitting a big-time three, pushing this Sal's lead back out to 6. Now the Vikings in transition. Another great layup by Nate Thomas on the good feed by Justin Money. And now you're going to see the Salesianum offense working around. It's a 4-point game. Paul Brown, nice baseline spin, puts it off the backboard. It's your friend, young fella. Use it. Puts the Vikings down by 12. Later in the quarter, it's Ray Jones, nothing doing. Nate Thomas will not be denied on the boards, but Jack Brown with the send. Send it away. Vikings looking for a trap. They foul. Later in the game, it's 58-46. Sal's are in complete control. The Vikings played a foul game. Still a 12-point game. Here's the turnover that really ended this one for the Vikings. As you can see, the Sal's start to play keep away, and they earned themselves a big top 10 win in this one. Against St. E's on the road, avenging the early season loss as Mike Wallace dribbles the clock out. 60-46, your final. You talk about the Brown brothers putting in 17. Vikings, they got to bounce back quickly. The Sal's trying to make things happen here, and it's a big win.
An impressive win for Salesianum, one that vaulted them from 10 all the way up to 6. They was able to bounce them up there. Let's talk about some of these upsets, because this last week was like the week of upsets, Mike. There were so many of them. Can you kind of go into detail about that?
It's going to happen. You know, teams play each other. The one that really surprised, I don't know if it's surprised, St. Mark's and Caravel. You know, you don't really expect St. Mark's to score 49 points, number one. But, you know, we've seen Caravel a few times this year. They're not invincible. They were the 19th seed last year. They're a good team, but you know, it's going to happen. Mama said there'd be days like this, and that's kind of what happens on these in these games.
I like the reference.
That's right. William Penn had a long winning streak. You said sometimes there's just letdowns, or you just get outplayed. It's going to. We keep forgetting these are 14 to 18-year-old kids, and you know, sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. It's just the way things go.
You know, the Henlopen North has had an absolutely amazing season this year. They got 3 teams in the top 4. Jason, I'm going to pose this one to you. Which team can beat Cape, Smyrna, or Sussex Tech, if there are any, and what do they have to do to beat them?
Well, you see, that's 3 different types of teams. Cape Henlopen's big, tall. Smyrna's got the 2 best guards, I think, in the state, in Matthews and Bloodsworth. Sussex Tech has just ability to score a lot of points, so you're going to have to learn to outscore Sussex Tech. To me, Smyrna has to come up to Salesianum. Sussex Tech has to come up to Salesianum. You know, Pat, Salesianum's not an easy place to play, so that's going to be a couple of tough road games for them. Cape Henlopen hosts St. George's Tech. Bones can go off down there in Cape Henlopen. That's a team that can potentially still win it down there at Cape. But those 3 teams are playing outstanding basketball right now, and I think they're probably the 3 better teams in the state. And I know Sanford played Cape Henlopen earlier and lost to them, and they don't play any of those 3 coming up. But come tournament time, Sanford's a team right now that's rounding into shape, and a team that I would throw in there that could beat any one of those 3 teams if they're playing their ball.
Yeah. We have Caravel at St. Elizabeth, Caesar Rodney at Cape Henlopen, Smyrna and Sally's. We also have Woodbridge and William Penn. A lot of great matchups there, Mike. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm going to skip our spotlight game, the Smyrna Salesianum game, because I think everybody's looking forward to that one. I'm interested to see Woodbridge and William Penn. Woodbridge is not getting a lot of they're getting attention, but not a lot of attention because let's face it, they're kind of out of the way, literally and figuratively, down there in Bridgeville, Woodbridge, in Greenwood, or Bridgeville. They made a nice deep run into the tournament last season. They got a lot of those guys back. And they got Corbin and Haynes and some players, and I'd like to see them play against a William Penn, a team that has been through a rough schedule this year and has mostly proven themselves. So I think that Woodbridge Penn game is going to be outstanding.
Jay, a couple shakeups this week. Newark Charter, Red Lion getting in the top 10 this week. This is for both of you guys. What have you seen from those two teams, if anything at all, that warrants them, and will they continue to have success as the season goes on?
Well, they both play in the Diamond State Conference, which is not a strong conference this year. So, I mean, they're both piling up wins against them. The thing I liked about Newark Charter, they're 13-2. They're having a great year. Their two losses are to Salesianum at Sally's. Sally's is ranked 6th in the state. So, and then their other losses to a Newark team on the road in Newark. Newark's been a little Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde team this year. They're a 500 team, but Newark's got some great wins over top 10 teams, so it's hard to figure them out. The Newark Charter's got some players, and they're making a run. You know, the thing is, they're 13-2 for a reason.
Right.
You just can't pin it on playing in that Diamond State tournament. They've had some tough games. They've lost, to, like I said, to Newark and Sally's, but they were in both of those games, so I think they're going in the right direction, and they're going to be a tough team come state tournament time.
And Mike, you about Red Lion?
Great. Red Lions played a better schedule than Newark Charter. So of their 4 losses, 3 of them are to St. Thomas More, Newark Charter, and St. George's. So they played a pretty good schedule. Other than, like Jay said, Diamond State a little bit down this year. You know, they had a lot of average teams, for lack of a better word. They also, it's not a powerhouse conference. They do have a win over Wilmington Friends. Friends is having a pretty good year. Might be their best win on the schedule, but they played those other the 3 losses that they have. They're tough teams, so you know they're a pretty good team, kind of flying under the radar. So now they're in the top 10. A little more attention on them. We'll see how they do.
All these shakeups have moved Salesianum up to number 6, which is very interesting for our spotlight game of the week. 2 versus 6, 1 versus 5, the girls' basketball game. We'll talk about that when we come up next on 302 Sports Weekly.
Hadley Group is your local real estate resource. Brian Hadley joined Patterson Schwartz & Associates in 2005. In 2013, Nicole Flora joined Brian, followed by Emma Burnett and Grant Jepp in 2014. That's when the Hadley Group was formed. Patterson Schwartz Associates offer you exceptional knowledge of local market conditions and a commitment to represent you honestly and professionally. So for your next purchase or sale, think the Hadley Group. Visit our website at thehadleygroupre.com.
Welcome to Hooters. Have a seat wherever you like.
Hooters of Newark is located at 136 Astro Shopping Center, Newark, Delaware. Come in day or night to watch your favorite teams and sports on our many TVs. It's a great, fun-filled environment that is kid-friendly. Our craveable food menu has all the appetizers, burgers, salads, tacos, seafood, you name it, as well as our world-famous Hooters wings, which are the official wings of 302sports.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Kammerer from Solo Concepts. Solo Concepts is an award-winning restaurant group on the culinary coast with 10 locations. We're a chef-driven group. Come check us out. See you soon. Solo Concepts believes in the vision of our founder, Matt Haley. Cook beautiful, simple food, develop the people we work with, and make the world a better place. Solo Concepts on the culinary coast with 10 locations from Lois, Delaware to Fenwick Island. Come check us out.
And we're back here on 302 Sports Weekly. Benny Pinella alongside Pat Garanes, and joining us Mike Lang and Jason Winchell talk about our 302 Spotlight games of the week. We'll start with ladies first, as we are very polite gentlemen. We have Ursuline at number 1, Conrad. Number 5, Ursuline versus number 1. First meeting between these two schools, Mike. The Red Wolves look to remain unbeaten against in-state teams this year. The Raiders, they've struggled this year, but they've got some good news as Olivia Mason is returning to the lineup and scored 10 points in her win over Padua on Monday night. Question, what does Ursuline have to do to beat the Red Wolves in their
They're
den?
going to do a couple of things. They're going to have to, I think, getting Mason, and the other player they got back is Kay Woola, and Kay's another forward. They need to neutralize Nia Whittlesey inside, and Mason and Woola both have some height, and they can help do that. They have to get rebounds, because Whittlesey can just kill you inside. And they're going to have to play their traditional, their trademark defense. Conrad's very well balanced. We know the sisters can score. They also have Elizabeth Fayville, who's not afraid to shoot from anywhere. They got Janila inside, so they get the rebounds, number 1, and maybe deny one of the sisters. Let somebody's going to get their points, but not let all of them really hurt them. And in offense, you know they're going to key on Maggie. Conrad's going to key on Maggie Connolly, so they're going to need some points from somewhere else, from either from Liv Mason or from a Lauren Dorsey. They're going to need to find an alternate source of points besides Maggie Connolly, because I know Conrad's going to key on her. They might run a boxing one to see somebody in her face all night. I could see like a Joy Pleasure or Melissa Fayville just blanketing her all night. But I think hit the boards and not let all of those Conrad players hurt you.
Benny, I don't know if you've ever been to a game at Conrad, but let me tell you, the atmosphere in this gym is electric. And to have Ursuline coming in, first time ever between these two schools, this place is going to be rocking. I'm jealous I can't be there myself.
Love the Wolves Den. We love the Wolves Den.
Yes, we do.
So definitely check into this game just to see what this atmosphere, or go to the game.
Go to the game.
Either one. So Jay, we talked about that's the sixth man effect is already that's another thing that's big. But let's give Ursuline credit, all right? They do what they can do. They've been there before. However, the Red Wolves offense is rolling on all cylinders right now. What does Ursuline got to do to try and slow them down?
Yeah, Conrad put up 92 points yesterday. So they can score, and they're scoring right now. So they got to do a better job of Ursuline's got to do a better job of, like Mike said, limiting in their point. You don't want to give Conrad the opportunity to score, because they will score. They are a good shooting team. They can bury the three-pointers. One thing Ursuline has to do against Conrad is get back in transition, because Conrad looks to get the rebounds and then they push it. And that's one thing I think that has given Ursuline the most struggles this year is their transition defense. So I think they need to, when they miss the shot, be able to get back in the transition defense and slow Conrad's fast-paced game down.
One of two times you're going to hear from this gentleman, Nick Alessandrini, with the Twitter poll.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it. We're back on our Twitter poll grind this week with our Spotlight Game of the Week for the girls. We have Conrad and Ursuline, and that one coming down to the wire. Like most of our polls, we have 52% Conrad, 48% Ursuline.
That's close.
So 52-48, guys.
That's a little closer than I would have expected.
It's very tight. You can be the deciding vote at 302 Sports on Twitter. A couple more questions before we switch over to the guys.
Get on there and vote now, right now.
You have to go and vote right now. You talk about the unstoppable offense. The big key for that is Maggie Connolly. How are you going to be able to stop? How the Red Wolves going to be able to stop Ursuline and Maggie Connolly?
Well, I think you're going to. I mentioned Fayville or Kaleja. I think Alyssa Fayville is going to be stuck to her like glue. Alyssa's like 5'2", but she's passed to other teams. I love the kid. She's great, and she will be all over Maggie. She might be in the Ursuline locker room guarding Maggie Connolly. I think Maggie's going to be having dreams about Alyssa Fayville on Friday night at the end of this game. So they'll need to set some screens and try to do some things to get Maggie open. She doesn't need a lot of time or space, and she can pull the trigger. And we know she likes to drive. She scores half her points horizontal and then landing on the ground and shooting free throws.
It's going to be a matchup, man. This is going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. The Kalejas, the power, that's the rising power against, it's kind of like the Super Bowl. The rising power against the Eagle, the team that's been there before. Can't wait to see this.
Or is it the Jedi versus the Sith?
Oh my, that's Star Wars on us. I'm sure. Absolutely sure.
All right, so Mike and Jason, we got to talk about some keys to the game before we switch over to Smyrna Sally's. What are some of your keys to the game?
Well, I think the key against Smyrna has been all year. You got to stop Matthews and Bloodsworth from killing you from outside, and they've done that to everybody this year. And nobody's been able to stop them. So, I'm not a basketball tactician expert, but if I was Coach Haley, you got to find your two best defenders and just stick them on them and don't give them any kind of open space. That's easy to say. These are two quick kids who can really create their own shots. But Caleb Matthews lives outside that 3-point line. Sally's has some height that they can challenge, but Jack Brown can get in his face and really not give him that overlook. But you stop Bloodsworth and Matthews, and if I stop, I mean keep him under 20. Right. You got a shot to win.
This has become a yearly matchup in multiple sports, football and in basketball especially. And the defending champs this year, they've been hitting on all cylinders so far. They look to repeat. They look like they're poised to do so. The South have played five ranked in-state teams this year, and their schedule gets no easier. Obviously, coming with Smyrna coming in, they do have that sixth-man atmosphere yet again, kind of like Conrad. Their student section causes some havoc. Jason, can you talk about what Smyrna has to do to be able to go into such a hype environment on the road and come away with a win against a tough Sally's team?
Yeah, and always in the second half, you're shooting in front of that student section. So those free throws, you're shooting, there's guys in Speedos, there's guys climbing on top of each other, holding up signs. It's
incredible.
It's not an easy place, especially when you have the lead and you're trying to ice the game from the foul line. You get there, and there's always that distraction. So what Smyrna has to do is they have to phase that out and not let that crowd affect them. The good thing about Smyrna is they had two of the better free throw shooters in the state in Matthews and Bloodsworth. They go to the line. They normally don't miss. In fact, I believe Matthews' last game was 10 of 11 from the foul line, and Bloodsworth was 4 of 4. So they're going to make their free throws. They just can't let that crowd phase them, and I think these two veterans will not let the crowd phase them there.
Well, you talk about Salesianum's 6-man. You put Bloodsworth and Matthews together, you might as well be playing with 6 men on the court. They are very talented. We'll have your look at the poll coming up in a little bit with Nick Allison-Drini, but we got to talk about this dynamic backcourt that Smyrna has. What is Salesianum going to have to do to stop Bloodsworth and Matthews?
Well, nobody else has been able to do it, so I don't know if they have some kind of magic potion up there at 18th and Broome. I think their best shot is to maybe run like almost like a triangle or two, just to get guys on these guys. I think Salesianum's going to have to go deep because they're probably going to be fouling these guys quite a bit.
They're such a tough team.
You got to get the height on them, get in their face, and not give them any room. It's not easy. It's going to be a tall order for the Sal's on Friday night. Now, can they do it? Sure, they can do it. It's Burke and Hoyer Gym, and it's it's crazy out there, and 302 is going to be there, so anything can happen.
Yeah, and we're putting all this time into Bloodsworth and Matthews this year, well deserved for this too. And then guess who's waiting in the grass? Jameer Garnett, who can beat you himself. So they got quite a squad. Now, a key for Sally's is all year hit the three ball. They're good at it. Wallace can shoot. Jack Brown can shoot. Now Paul Brown's showing he can stretch the range out too, Jay. How can Smyrna hold them down beyond the three-point line? And how important is that for Smyrna to come away with a win?
Yeah, and I was looking up the stats. Sally's is averaging 6.5 three-point shots made per game.
Yeah.
So they like to shoot behind the line. They hit 7 last night against Archmere. So they do a good job there. Smyrna has to get out on the three-point line and defend them. They want to get out there, get hands in the face, and be smart about it. We saw last week in that St. E's game, they fouled Jack Brown and it turned into a 4-point play. They can't afford many fouls when they're going out there, but they have to get a hand in the face and don't give Sally's any open looks behind there, because if they do, it could be a long night for Smyrna.
It was a tight poll for Ursuline versus Conrad, but Twitter Nick, what do you say about Salesianum versus Smyrna?
So we talked about last game, so now we're on to the men's, and I don't know if you're going to believe me or not, but Smyrna versus Sally's. Smyrna 52%, Sally's 48%. So same thing, the exact same thing. We're putting our spotlight games a week.
Vote right now.
So we just want to say thank you to all our followers on all social media. It couldn't be possible without you guys for voting. So keep voting, and thank you very much. And tune into our spotlight games of the week this week.
There we go, Twitter Nick with the lowdown there. I like that nickname. It'll be at 302 Sports on Twitter. You can be the deciding vote for this. At 302 Sports on Twitter. We're going to end with some keys to the game. Salesianum versus Smyrna. Mike, what does each team need to do to win?
Well, I think we've talked about it. If you're Salesianum, you need to control those two guards, and that's not very easy to do. If you're Smyrna, like Pat said and Jason said, they like to shoot behind the line. I think we're going to see a lot of long distance bombs in this game. I mean, whoever's the hotter shooting team probably has an advantage.
So you're saying this is going to be a bit of an air raid?
It's going to be an air raid. It's like Don Coryell and the Chargers. Dan Fouts.
What a reference there from Mike Lang. Bombs away this
Super
Friday.
Bowl,
It's our 302 Sports Spotlight Game of the Week. Salesianum will host Smyrna. Again, you can tune into YouTube for that one, and Ursuline versus Conrad. We're going to step aside from basketball for a little bit and talk about high school wrestling up next on 302 Sports.
As a military wife, I love helping our airmen and their families with financial tools to help provide financial stability.
I promise to make a positive difference in your financial life, from helping you to lower your payments to discovering ways to help you save for your children's future.
From the needs of college students and first-time auto buyers, I promise to identify and take ownership of your needs.
Local people, local decisions, Dover Federal Credit Union.
Mr. Italian began his career in home finance in 2002 as a mortgage consultant. Since 2002, Brian has helped over 1,000 home buyers achieve their dreams of owning a home. Brian's knowledge of current market conditions and his detailed evaluation of buyers' finances ensures that each buyer will receive the best mortgage to fit their needs. Brian is often commended on how efficient and effortless he makes the mortgage process for everyone from first-time home buyers to investors to experienced buyers. For the loan that fits you, contact Brian today. Mr. Italian began its unique image, opened for business in Wilmington, Delaware in 1979 with one focus, wowing our customers with great products and even greater customer service. 30 years later, we are still doing exactly that. Whether you're looking for marketing tools to promote your business, gifts for your employees or clients, or planning a special event, we're here with the voice of experience to help you every step of the way for your complete satisfaction. Visit our new showroom in the Mill Creek Shopping Center, 4577 Kirkwood Highway. Unique image, you envision, we create.
Where you are in life, at every stage, for all of life's big moments, and everything in between. After all, that's what families are for.
Yes.
We promise to.
Absolutely.
Positive difference in your financial life, and go beyond the norm. Be a part of the Dover Federal family.
Local people, local decisions, Dover Federal Credit Union.
Welcome back to 302 Sports. Benny Pinella, Pat Garanis. And Pat, it's come to our attention that Friday night, Smyrna and Sallies were facing each other, not just basketball.
Oh, yeah.
But wrestling as well.
They're getting it done in a circle, baby. Getting down on the mats.
It'll be at Smyrna, a 6:30 start Friday night, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Right. Looking at our top 5 in the world of men's, top 5 in the world Division 1 wrestling. Hey, I can throw them out. Smyrna and Salesianum are 1, 2. 3 is Sussex Central. We have Caesar Rodney there, and Dover rounding up the top 5. We have Laurel, Indian River, Woodbridge, and Archmere. Milford at number 3. Woodbridge and Archmere round out that. You want the full look at the rankings, individual rankings, go to our Facebook page for Benny Mitchell. One more break, and we have our grand finale and top 5. But first, we got to get through all of the Delaware athletics in terms of college. We'll be back after this break.
Life's too short to hate your home. Remodel your home with the pros voted Delaware's #1 home improvement company. Ferris Home Improvements has something for every homeowner at their new showroom on the corner of Kirkwood Highway and Harmony Road in Newark, Delaware. Explore products and layouts with the area's top designers. Touch and feel products that inspire your dream space. Ferris Home Improvements' pride in the details make them the area's best in roofing, windows and doors, siding, decks, kitchens and bathrooms. Want a professional no-pressure remodel? Go see the best at the Big Shamrock on Kirkwood Highway. Ferris Home Improvements. Quality workmanship from a neighbor you can trust.
Welcome back to 302 Sports. Pat, the glory of doing this live is we can do a scoring update.
Breaking news right here. Got a score update, Benny. Boys basketball. Caravel, of course, taking on St. Elizabeth tonight. Pretty good matchup. 26-15, the Buccaneers on top of the Vikings about halfway through the second quarter. So just give you guys an update there. That's a big boy score. St. E's trying to bounce back after a tough loss to Sally's, tough loss to Howard, and Caravel trying to bounce back from a loss as well. So tough matchup there for both teams. Caravel seems to be getting it done early.
We got some breaking news as well. It's time for the final run. All right, we're going to hit with Goldie women's basketball right now. Goldie Beacom freshman Alana Speaks. She's a St. E's grad. She's been named Central Athletic Collegiate Conference Women's Basketball Player of the Week. She got on the honor roll for that. Speaks ended with 14 points, 10 rebounds, 4 steals, 3 assists at post. making an immediate impact since joining the team almost a month into the team's season. Preseason practice. Speaks is 21st in the league with 23 three-pointers, 27th with a 260 three-point percentage. She's 33rd with one assist, averaging 1 assist or 2 turnover ratio, and she's 55th with 3.8 rebounds per game, 66th with 6.5 points per game. Impressive because she's a soccer player playing basketball.
Yeah, and she's a freshman who started coming off the bench for the majority of the year, now getting her shot in the starting lineup. Men's team at Goldie Beacon's been doing their own thing as well. They've been on a hot streak. Benny, they've won 7 of their last 8 games, and the main reason because of that is Corey Tate. He was picked to the CACC Men's Weekly Honor Roll this week. He averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal and a half over 2 games, Benny. That's what he did last week. 24 points on 7 of 12 shooting, 5 assists, 3 boards, 2 triples, and a steal, and their 75-65 win last Tuesday over Georgian Court. Then he backed that up with 20 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 7 boards, 3 dimes, 2 three-pointers, and Sunday as his unit's 85-76 triumph at Caldwell. Corey Tate been getting it done all year. He's one of the most exciting players to watch, one of my favorite players to watch in the local area. Only a junior, too. Only a junior. And he got 1,000 points recently. So he's a 1,000-point scorer as a junior. If you haven't seen him yet, check him out.
And he's going to be a senior next year, which means he's going to do some very interesting things. All right, it's time for the Lady Hens. UD, they exploded for a 28-point third quarter and had 4 players post double figures in scoring their efforts Sunday afternoon as Delaware collected a 80-62 victory over UNCW at the Bob Carpenter Center. They'll play again Sunday, February 4th. It'll be Delaware at Northeastern, a 2 p.m. tip for that one. They'll get it done before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly right, because that's what is the big game.
Yes.
That's the big game. Let's go to the men's. Hofstra guard Justin Wright Foreman. He finished with 32 points. Knocked down a clutch 3 with 12 seconds left. They gave the Pride the 64-59 conference win over Delaware on Saturday night down at the Bob. Ryan Daly. Ryan Daly is expected to miss the next 3 weeks after suffering a left ankle sprain. That hurts. Done that multiple times. Not fun. They'll play Towson, the Blue Hens will, February 1st. That's a 7 o'clock start.
Delaware has had the injury bug bite them pretty hard. That is their 3rd injury this season. That has been fairly substantial. All right, Pat from Wilmington, the Wilmington women's basketball team, the University of Sciences, set a CACC conference record with 21 three-pointers made. It was not a great Tuesday night, sinking Wilmington University by a score of 89-47. It was a tough game, but Emma Matthews from Padua paced the Wildcats at 14 points, 5 rebounds, shooting 5 of 11 from the floor. Macy Robinson was the only other Wildcat in double figures, scoring 11 points on 5 of 15.
All right, well, we're going to go to something a little more positive here. Let's see what the men's team did here. 2nd week in a row and 3rd week of January, the Wilmington U men's basketball team featured a student athlete as the Central Athletic. I keep saying athletic. It's Atlantic, Ben. I don't know why I keep saying that. Central Atlantic Collegiate Conference Player of the Week as Nick Richards, a graduate of Hodson, was named the recipient and announced by the conference office on Monday for the week. Richards averaged, listen, this is what he averaged, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals per game. That's getting it done, all while shooting just under 64% and making 3 of 7 from beyond the three-point arc while playing all 80 minutes in both games this week. That's impressive.
Very impressive. And what also impresses the Wesley women's basketball team, did drop 76-56 in a CAC decision to number 10 Christopher Newport. That's a tough team there.
Yeah.
But 4 of 5 Wesley starters were notching double figures in the loss. Monisha Newsome Murray from Seaford led the Wolverines with 18 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds for her, and 2 steals. And Tiana Gibbs from Concord registered 13 points. She had 4 rebounds and 4 assists for herself. The Wolverines, they will hit the road on Wednesday as they face, or I should say tonight, as they face the York Spartans at 6 p.m.
Yeah, let's move on to the men's team. The men's basketball team, they fell at home to Christopher Newport, 63-48, and on Saturday, Evan Anderson and Brian Cameron of DMA tallied double digits for Wesley. Anderson notched 17 points to get the game high, while Cameron totaled 16 in the loss. Off the bench, J.W. Lawson, formerly of Concord High School, registered a team-high 9 boards along with 9 points. Wolverines are back in action tonight. They travel to York, Pennsylvania. They take on the 7th-ranked Spartans. Game is scheduled for about 11 minutes from now, 8 o'clock.
Well, it's time to talk about some college athletes, and we're looking at the University of Sciences women's basketball team. They recorded that amazing 89-47 win over Wilmington.
Yep.
Alex Thomas from your alma mater, St. E's, made 4 of 5 attempts en route to 12 points and 3 rebounds and 2 assists for her.
Kyle Evans, formerly of Sanford, the St. Vincent standout, had a solid career high of 17 points to lift their men's basketball team to a 74-67 over Geneva College in the Carey Center. To go with the 17 points, Evans tallied the stat sheet up pretty well. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals for the former Warrior.
Stat stuffer for him. Lincoln University men's basketball turned up the defense to defeat Chowan University 58-45. Okay, so that Chowan, 58-45 Saturday afternoon at Manuel Riviero Hall. Sean James from Christiana, he had 14 points in that one.
I actually played AAU basketball with Sean James a couple times back in the day in high school.
Did you lock him up, or did you lock Sean up?
No, he was on my team.
Oh, he was on your team.
Sean James was on my team for a couple tournaments. Yeah, he played with him. Good ball player, man. Wish I had his height. Unfortunately, I don't. Let's move on to Immaculata. The men's basketball team comes in 9-9 and overall and 6-6 in their conference as they even the record with a 91-71 victory over Clark Summit. Junior Mike Pekarski of St. Elizabeth led 5 double-figure scores with 22 points, while Will Chapman, formerly of Concord, he added 12.
Impressive for them. Looking at Widener University men's basketball, propelled by a big second half run and a career high tying 7 blocks for Sadaria Sambo from Middletown. The Widener men's basketball team were able to upset number 9 Lycoming Warriors 66-65 in a MAC Commonwealth contest. Sambo 11 points, 6 rebounds, 7 blocks.
Hey, Lycoming, a former football powerhouse right around there. Let's move on. Let's talk a little JoJo Cooper. He played at Tatnall, played at Concord. He got it done in his high school career, and he got it done this week. He added 17 points and 9 rebounds as the Wagner men's basketball team completed a sweep of its 2-game Western Pennsylvania trip with a 77-64 victory over Robert Morris. In that win, they gained sole possession of first place in the NEC.
Now it's time to go from the NEC to the ECU. 5 players scored double figures to lead SMU to an 86-61 victory over ECU. Junior Isaac Fleming from Wilmington was the only other Pirate to score double figures, finishing with 17 points.
Yeah, Isaac Fleming, he played at William Penn. I believe he was at Penn Cater Charter for a little bit back when we were in high school still, so good to see him still going well. Ryder. Let's talk a little Ryder University here. Redshirt freshman Jordan Allen of Dover scored 26 points, including 7 of 13 from deep, as their men's basketball team defeated hourglass rival Monmouth 92-85. Allen's 7 3-pointers are a season high, eclipsing the 5 he made against Hampton back in November and at Providence later in the month. And once again, he put it up again 5 against Hofstra in December. He also had a season high 3 steals. Getting it done from behind the arc, I like that.
Time to talk about Villanova's women's basketball team. The Wildcats traveled to Indianapolis on Sunday afternoon, where they tallied a 69-67 win over the Butler Bulldogs. With the victory, the Wildcats improved 17-5 overall in the season, 7-4 in Big East play. Adriana Hahn from Ursuline was a huge catalyst in the win after a layup by Kristen Spoilar pulled Butler within 1 possession at 67-64, but Hahn was fouled 7 seconds ago. She calmly sank both free throws to give Villanova a 69-64 lead. She held the Wildcats to 14 points in that one.
Villanova men's team, they played a first game without senior guard Phil Booth, who has a fractured bone in his right hand. It's interesting to see how are they going to recover from that injury. Well, backcourt mates Jalen Brunson and Delaware's own Salesianum graduate Dante DiVincenzo, they combined for 54 points in an 85-82 victory over Marquette. DiVincenzo, 23 points and 4 rebounds in the game. He's starting to come into his own.
And once again, Pat, you got my favorite basketball team in college. I got yours, Duke. Gary Trent Jr. scored 22 points, tied a season high with 10 rebounds. The Blue Devils, they routed the Fighting Irish 88-66 on Monday night. Trayvon Duvall, he added 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists for the Sanford product.
That's it. Let's talk about a couple professional athletes. We talked about them last week. Let's get it. It's now Super Bowl week.
Yes.
And there's 2 Delaware athletes in the Super Bowl this year. Wendell Smallwood of the Eagles and Deron Harmon playing for the other team. He went to Caesar Rodney. So
So we may have a loser in the Super Bowl, but Delaware's going to end up winning either way.
We're coming out of this with a Super Bowl champion at the end of the day. So that's a win-win for the state of Delaware.
However, we'd really like that Super Bowl champion to be a couple miles up the road in Philadelphia. No offense to you, Deron Harmon. All right, our players of the week, Kayla Braxton Young, the senior from Hodgson, had a great week for her. 21 points in the win versus St. Mark's, 28 in the win over Concord, including her 1,000th point. We also have to thank Khalil Bolden, senior from Sussex Tech. He scored 57 with 3 wins last week, including 20 in the upset win versus number 3 William Penn.
And congratulations to those athletes, and be interesting to see who's going to be next week's athlete of the week. Right now, it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show, Benny. The top 5 plays of the week. And let me tell you, there's some interesting stuff going on here. So Nick Alzadrini, you take it away, my friend. Sync up the video and start this thing off. Any minute now. Here we go. Number 5, Nye Whittlesley with the rip-away block shot for Conrad. We'll see it right here, Ben. Taking on Archmere down the lane. She says, give me that, please.
You are not worthy. The Sean Bones Highland. This is a great handle, and watch the Euro step. Highly underrated move, the Euro step. Athlete.
Chris Berman would have liked that highlight with the amount of whoops he could have put in there.
The athleticism, Pat.
Number 3, Tony West with the, look at this. This is just straight up wrestling, all right? I'm not even going to pretend that I know anything about it, but watch this. This is just impressive to watch as a guy. Look at this, ready?
Tony the
pick
Rock
you up and just drop you right here.
Rock bottom.
Just drop you right here.
His name's
Tony. God, that man's got a family.
His name's Tony West, but that guy went from north to south.
Look at this. That's impressive. I mean, I could never do that.
This is a guy on the all-name team, Justin Money. He's got a very athlete. He saw this in the recap. St. E's trying to step in. All right, you get the score there. But Justin Money heads up there with the no-look pass. So it was going to be a steal.
Number 1, Jamie Evans. Watch this dunk from Glasgow. Shout out to One Journey on the video here.
Oh, my God.
Look at this. Ready? Take off.
Bang.
Sorry, Nick Hall. Sorry, Nick Hall, about that. I know it had to happen at your school, but look at this. Whew. Back-to-back weeks with a poster.
At that point, you don't even try to block it.
That's impressive.
Because you know what's going to happen. You're going to end up on a poster, or you're going to end up on the top 5 for 302 Sports. Again, our boys' game of the week is going to be Smyrna at Sally's. That's Friday at 7:30. The girls' game happening before at 7 o'clock. Ursuline versus Conrad. Tune in to 302 Sports on YouTube for that. Pat, it's time for the final word, buddy.
That's it. That's what we're going to go with. Go Birds.
Fly, go Birds. We'll see you next week, hopefully with a ring on our finger, baby. Peace out.